Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. So excited to have Victory Smith joining us here. Yes, we're going to talk today about the founding of Victory Life Solutions. And of course, all that is encompassed here as a life coach, as a heart, head, coherence coach, and all the work that Victory is doing here today to help so many. So, first and foremost, welcome to the show.
Good to see you. How are you, Jill?
You too. I'm fantastic. Victory, can you please introduce yourself to everyone to start?
Okay, my name is Victory Leroy Smith, the French version of Leroy. I am from Omaha, Nebraska, raised by a crazy lady. Well, she loved church, and that's where the name came
Okay.
from. And I left after hmm, high school and ventured around the country and ended up in Wisconsin. And now I am retired, but as I said in a note, rewired because
Ah.
it's time for us to, if they call you an elder, to do some other things to fill the gap between the youngsters
Hmm.
and what's going on. So if they see a way out, it could be really catastrophic. That said, I went to Catholic schools. Toronto Talbot, Warren Buffett's son Peter was one of the friends at Toronto Talbot, and it was quite an experience after I left
Hmm.
Omaha. I didn't know how dark skinned, honestly. I didn't get all that. But it was kind of a VIP way of growing up because of my mom's connection. She was successful. And
Hmm.
both my parents were entrepreneurs. And
Wow.
regarding my jobs, well, mom was a millionaire. And regarding my job, I thought it was a big deal that I ended up with 100-year-old companies and, was leading. Like one was an ag company, right? But
Hmm.
the first time we hit a billion.
Oh, wow.
And it was a certain product. It was a certain
Uh-huh.
product that, and I'm unable to mention that, but it was of course a marvel for me because I hated math, and that's what it was all about. So that said, the experiences gathered, I have so much that I'm supposed to share. I
Yeah.
coach my employees. I told them, hey, we are not employer and employee. We are a team. Let's stick with that so we can all do it together. And it worked out. I wouldn't have been able to do without them being coherent to what I told them to do.
Ooh.
So, and that's from someone who was supposed to die before they were 30 because was diagnosed with asthma,
Ah.
and that's another thing that pushed me into what I'm doing. I heard the doctor telling my mom that I'm 6 years old, swinging my feet on the seat, only thinking I want to play. She already wouldn't let me play. All I wanted was to play. And then she made me be still, and I started reading. Came across the word psychosomatic. I'm like, oh, so if I don't think about it, maybe I won't have it. That's when I learned thoughts matter and tone. And I was
Oh.
able to circumnavigate that, play football. But I turned down the scholarship because I didn't want to play football. And that was at
Hmm.
University of Nebraska.
Wow. Well,
So I ventured down.
there's a
Go
lot
ahead.
to you. Yeah, I got to get your whole history here. Keep going.
Well, and from high school on, I've been word studying and how our words are broken down and how our language limits
Hmm.
what we think only if we limit what we think. And child development psychology is what I've been focused on forever. And about 15 years ago, neuroscience kicked in so I could do the heart head coherence. Now, all that comes from the outstanding Heart Math Institute that has a way that we can really, really make a difference in our life, like breathing.
Hmm.
And and I was just amazed with it, and I'll be certified in that shortly. I want to take. So my childhood was an experience. Honestly, if I may, I was called the blackest white boy they ever seen, just because of my my intelligence, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And that turned out to be rather cool because later they understood, called me by name, and then we became friends. And that was also something. Peter Buffett tried to put peanut butter in my hair when I had,
Mm-hmm.
man, what are you doing? No. So I had a fun life in Omaha, and I have been a journey. It's been a journey since leaving Omaha. I ran into the folks they call the Food Plan in Norfolk, Virginia. Now I'm 66. May not look like it, I'm told, but I ran into them back when I was 18 years old. Still a hard head. Stop calling people boy, blah, blah, blah. And I left just in time because they wanted to give me a new necklace. And that was with the grace of what they told me about what was going on. And this was Chesapeake Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up, and then I ended up in Chicago, and I was switchman, which puts the train together. And I ended up being a brakeman, which sits in the back or the front, or mainly the back of the train. What used to be a caboose, I should say. And if something goes wrong, you got to go out and fix it. And I was a conductor. That means I was tell somebody else to go do it. And then I also was a fireman, which would help the engineer if he was too tired to run the train. That was, I call it my magic. I saw so much wild animals. And that was fun. It was, people thought it was a lot of money, but it was. And I have really never chased money because I never had to. So, I had to circumnavigate being a bad guy as stereotyped, or let me show them what's up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it for me. I've been in
What?
ISO and
About,
isomet, excuse me,
oh my
in
goodness.
solitude. Well, there is an advantage. It only started bugging me last 2 years that I'm alone, but
Mm,
there's an advantage because you have all that time
yeah.
to center point what you're supposed to do. I call it my pie. You know what pie
Mm-hmm.
is, right?
Yeah.
Not the sweet pie. The one
Mm-hmm.
that is your ratio in life, like you, Jill,
Yeah.
your ratio in life to get something done that, you're part of a puzzle. Get your piece out. And later on, I had my son, and he's 26
I
now.
was going to say, how old? Mine are 7 and 9, a little younger. I started late,
Oh, yeah.
but oh my goodness, what a blessing. Mm.
Well, I think so. He was, his mom is blonde, and so there was some difficulty. So I just focused on her belly. And I'm the only one that could stop him from crying after born when he was first born.
Mm-hmm.
And after they handed it to me to finish with her, I'm looking at him, and as soon as I said his name, that is speaking Francis Smith. Welcome.
Mm-hmm.
He stopped crying and started kicking his
Ah,
feet and reaching for me. They can't see it.
yeah.
And that's where tone matters really, really kicked in because that's all I did. Told him what he would do, how he could do it, and he had no limits, and to think about something else if something else got in the way. Later on, 25 academic scholarships. And 6'5", people thought academic. No, he could farm on both sides of his brain as quick as he wanted to. He'd go super anal to super doofus in a second.
Mm-hmm.
And and I'm proud of him. He graduated. And when he's in fourth grade, I pushed him to be a doctor. And he was on it until freshman chemistry made him quit.
Yeah.
And then I told him, man, you got to work with the law of large numbers, people
Yeah.
or pixels.
Mm-hmm.
He said, well, Dad, either way, they're people. I'm like, okay, let's get online. What's your pie? And now he's got a art design thing
Yeah.
online on Instagram. And but he's also a tech guy. So law of large numbers, it gathers. What stabilizes your guarantee. And that's what I want to do for the world because I don't care about the money accumulating. Whatever I do will be a trust fund for our
Mm-hmm.
children's legacy,
Aw.
irrespective. And it's coming from the concept, oh, excuse me, the organic meaning of our species, which is human kindness. not human race, because that's caused the divide. And that's something
Mm-hmm.
that I focus on with the parents that have a child and have since way. I've been around a while. And this is something I had parents at work. Though I was the boss, when I said, okay, we made it, we'd have a picnic and I'd watch all the kids. That is such a therapy session when you love children and see the genius in little pieces running around. And that's why I got into Montessori as well. I was a Montessori teacher for a short time, but the concept has gone everywhere I've gone when I have time with children. That's about as much as I first podcast can do,
All
unless
right.
you have something.
No, there's so much to you. So first of all, how do we reach you? What is the website? How do we find you?
Well, right now I'm just going through Instagram, dysfunctional love consciousness, and email would be Victory Life Soul Solutions.
Okay.
And by the way, those that will be listening, that's SOULUTIONS. And phone number, only if you mean to do a strategy session, if you will. That would be a good thing to do. 608-471-0402.
Perfect.
And that's what it is. I had to take down that website.
Aw.
Kind of
Well, well,
but
let's,
my click funnel, go ahead. I was going
well,
to say my click funnel is up and running shortly,
all right,
which
great.
really helps a lot because websites pretty much become informational. So
And,
I
I was
love Russell
reading
Brunson.
about you, who mentored you? I know you had a lot of success. And what do you contribute this to? You worked very hard. If you want to share a little bit more about your background and, I know there were some obstacles for you clearly but you're here now focusing on so many, especially children. And you want to talk more about this. So please continue.
Okay. If I understand, then just go ahead and say how things accumulated. My background is such that anywhere I would be, I'd be alone because honestly, as an adult, I spent most of my time away from folks that have my complexion because of how I stereotype. And the job with my employees, let's start with the first.
Hmm.
First, the first one was the railroad. I overcame being angry with someone that tried to literally kill me because they didn't want me to have a job. I only knocked him out, and I don't know why. I didn't expect it. He got fired, and I was allowed to stay.
Hmm.
And then I met the guys that wanted to be team effort because they have a different thing, because they have a different background. They have different tones that they come up with
Yeah.
outside the belly. And so I learned a lot on how to interact, discern who's in the room, who to stay away from, and who
Yeah.
I may speak to. And with that said, it went forward, and I had all this stuff in my head to do. So I started writing again after
Yeah.
I really didn't stop, but I've been writing since I was 6.
Okay.
And every class I took in the notes, I would convert poetically. And every seminar, whatever I was in, I always take the notes poetically. And then the internet came and I started sharing. And that's when things kind of not viral for me, but I accumulated an environment, the kind that I wanted, because I love that about the internet. I don't have to deal with everything if I only want to deal with a like minded. And so that's why you should always certain groups. Anyway, Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi recently, definitely Desi Williamson, he's an international speaker. Richard Roundtree, sorry, bro, you had to pass away. Vivica Fox, and I say that because I had time with these people as the vice president of the Pride Classic here in Wisconsin. Dr. Anthony Brown, who's in heaven as well. We bring professional athletes and movie stars here to help us raise money for the disadvantaged to go to school and get off of drugs. And Richard Roundtree was pretty cool. Outside of the cigars, he taught me how to smoke, and the golf, he showed me how to just don't act, be what you act. Yeah, be what you act. Don't be fake. And this is after he noticed that I was different around certain people. He'd ask me, "Where'd you go?" I'm right here, but where is that guy I know? I'm like, well, you see what's going on. I just want, they said, no, be you so they know who you are. And that helped me get the confidence back and not be worried about what people think. I still do a little bit, but not a lot. Not as much as that is what holds me back. And later, my dear friend, doctor, not doctor, Alfonso Speaks still. His son is already successful, one of the coaches at the Miami Dolphins. But he would bring me to the college to speak to the elders to help them understand more about computers. And I probably would already have a podcast if he hadn't had the tragedy with his wife that he did riding his motorcycle. So the mentors I have or had, they're all in heaven. And honestly, it's not like they're hollering at me. Go ahead, do it. Go ahead and do it. That's why I introed the podcast. Try this and see where we go, where I go. She's So most of my mentors are online now. I did work briefly. I was with Les Les Brown for a short time because he came. I was up in Minnesota then, and two books that I co-authored with Desi Williamson, Get Off Your Assets. He came for. Oh yeah, he came for Where There's a Will, There's a Way. 60 Turbulent Times, and both of those will be audible as soon as I can. Sorry, I'm new to the
No, you're good.
podcast.
You're just on a roll. And my goodness, I'm just reading more about you. And, there's three different aspects that you wanted to focus on for today. And the science, you say, and within and acts cognitive dissonance, trauma. There's so much. I would love to hear, some of these stories about the people that you've been helping.
All right, mainly it's been moms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Moms with the impact on their children and helping them understand how important it was to, if you want to quote the Bible, tame your
Okay.
tongue because your child is only coherent to you for the most part and the environment by the tone. The baby within is still documenting what's without. Those
Mm-hmm.
tone, mom's thoughts, the baby receives with the sound. You don't have to open her mouth. And then let's say dad's on the outside of
Yeah.
that. Now, the thing is it upsetting mom? It's going to ultimately put in that child, because since it's a satellite dish, it's going to put in that child fight or flight. I don't
Mm-hmm.
say flight. I don't say flight because I tell people you need to change your environment. You
Yeah.
need to change your music. Your theme of life has to change for you to get where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So that was on and on and on.
Mm.
Well, the babies are so important. They're so precious, so innocent, and
Uh,
so much genius. The reason why I saw one of your videos with you playing with your son, the tallest, I guess,
all the time.
and right, and they're in theta wave. You know what that is, right?
No, say it again.
Theta
What?
wavelength. Theta wavelength
Beta
is
wavelength. Yes.
right, right, and that's where imagination comes from. And children
Mm-hmm.
2 to 7, and I believe some do carry it much further, myself
Okay.
included. 2 to 7, that's all they're about. They're imagine engineers. And that's where I witnessed so much genius on the way. And that's why I applied it to the son. I put him in Montessori, sure. And you just see the children. Like you can go online
Yeah.
and find, and like with TikTok adding on, there used to be YouTube. I told people, excuse me, I would tell people, take a look. I told you
Mm-hmm.
that's impossible. That's a fake video. I'm like, okay, you want to see another? No,
Ah.
the kids are coming. They're coming out with their creativity,
Mm-hmm.
like on that AGT, America's Got Talent. Some toddlers killing songs adults have made. How can they do that? They aren't limited in what they think. Once we get to 7 and so disciplined, we are conditioned. Either we're going to be sneaky and manipulative with the environment around us if we don't feel motivated. So, and we're all born to motivate or manipulate. It depends. Well, I feel mainly those that will be fight or flight, always worried about what could go wrong
Mm-hmm.
every second, that emotional tsunami needs to be shut down for you to have peace of mind. That's where coaching the heart and coherence comes in.
Yeah.
That's that's the removal of dysfunctional consciousness. Literally, the big guy scientists are saying family is becoming extinct
Mm-hmm.
and extended family is becoming impacted as it was supposed to be the best. And love is constantly failing. It's not even a priority. Money is. That's the conversion I see to make.
Well,
I go ahead. Ask me another question. Keep
oh
going.
no. Well, we only have 4 minutes left in the show. I'm just letting you know it's crazy. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my
No
goodness, it
stress.
happened so quick. So, wow. Yeah, what else did you want to make sure we come across for today? Really? Thank you.
That this is the opening of Victory Life Solutions for the public to contact me to change your child's legacy. That is my laser focus. Children's legacy. If we don't kick our ego out of the way, our children will not be listening to us later. It's just a bunch of horror movies come to mind instead of the fantasy we always want. Love that never fails. Children successful. But it's up to us to change as a very large group because we're all pixels online. And what you want to light up in the world, it's up to you. I want to be a beacon of light for family.
Yeah,
Is that 4 minutes? Oh, no.
totally. Thank you.
Mhm.
Well, how did you want to leave off for your listeners today and how we can contact you?
Well, thanks for listening. Good to great days, every day to family. You can contact me in the Instagram, Dysfunctional Love Consciousness. DM me there or give me a call. If you text me, please text your name and why. If you email me, do the same thing in the subject. And if you call me, speak first because I can also help you with cyber investigation. You should be the only one cloning your voice.
All right. Well, thank
608.
you. Go ahead.
All right, I was going to say the number to call is 608 471 0402. And next time I'll have the paperwork in front of me. So in front
Perfect. Thank
and
you
know who.
so much. Well,
All right.
let's where are we planning to talk again yesterday?
I am planning to talk again. Yes, I
Good.
see
We
that
will get
in.
back together. Sorry, I mean next week, I hope. So thank you so much for being here and looking forward to the next time we get to connect. Pleasure having you here and getting to know you and all you do. Victory Smith, thanks for being here again. Victory Life Solutions. You have a great day. And to all of our listeners, please stay tuned. We'll be back next week. Have a great day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.